Well, my guest has diverse work experience, 5 years construction, 10 years in insurance, and 20 years as a senior pastor here in Ontario. It all fits into his current role as Ontario Director for Corporate Chaplains Canada. Did you hear that? Corporate chaplains, not prison chaplain, not hospital chaplain. This is an eye-opener to me. It's a ministry that's been in the U.S. since the 1940s, where there are over 5,000 registered chaplains working throughout the American workplace landscape. Here's a little setup piece that will get us on page.
When the chaplains come to visit, it helps me as a manager because I think it gives the employees a sense that we're doing something for them, that we care. Maybe they need something to get off their chest, and the chaplains are really good at listening. And so, you know, after that, you have a happier worker who, you know, has had a chance to talk about something, and then from there it's kind of like lifted off their shoulders, and they're free to work and be more productive in that sense.
One employee passed away suddenly, and the chaplain stepped right in and did the service, helped and walked the family through the entire process, as well as doing the crisis management here with the staff. Without a chaplain, we would have had a very difficult time walking through that process.
Reverend David Smith is getting me up to speed on something I think is absolutely wonderful. I want to show the brochure for what is now a reality in Ontario. Where are you guys? Here I am. Corporate Chaplains Canada, the employee care program for corporate Canada. What a great idea. This should be in every corporation.
I agree.
That's a big dream.
Yes.
You are a big answer to making this happen, David Smith, Reverend David Smith.
Thanks, Moira.
What a journey you've had. I want to talk about your journey in just a moment. But let's understand this. This is something that did come to Canada a few years ago.
Yes.
2004?
Yeah, 2004.
And Alberta and BC have already been enjoying some of the benefits of this program. This is the first official year for Ontario.
That's correct.
Here's hoping it'll spread right across the country. Tell us what this service actually provides.
Well, corporate chaplains are basically workplace chaplains. They're there to come alongside people and minister to them through helping them in a very holistic way in terms of physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, coming alongside people and helping them to remove some of those barriers and obstacles that people have, some of the difficulties that everybody faces, with a goal in mind of increasing their productivity and helping them to be healthier employees and human beings.
Now, generally, the chaplain is not in-house, 9 to 5 sort of thing. He or she would come when needed. Is that right? Yeah,
most of our chaplains actually come into a workplace, and then they would circulate throughout the workplace, spending time just coming alongside employees.
Building relationships.
Yeah, very briefly, just building rapport and relationship and trust. And then when things happen in people's lives, which they inevitably do, the chaplain is there to provide support and encouragement and to resource them and refer them when need be.
And that happens often outside the workplace, face-to-face encounter off-site.
Sure. Yeah, our face-to-face care is really what distinguishes this from EAPs and other kinds of services, because it allows an employee to be able to, and their families, to be able to access a chaplain either on-site or during their break time or before work or after work, or 24 hours, 7 days a week for emergency care for families.
And the employee doesn't pay for this help. The corporation pays.
That's correct, yes. The employer...
paid privilege.
The employer pays for it.
I think this is great. A very hot career handle right now is life coach. And it's not just crisis counseling here. Life coach is part of what you would offer.
Yes, that's right. And every chaplain that we have comes from a diverse background. Like we generally, like we don't pick people off the street and make them chaplains. We find people that have spiritual gifts in the area of helps and mercy types of gifts, and people that have particularly pursued that as a vocationally, and so we'll typically most of our chaplains either have degrees in counseling or social work or psychology or pastoral or some aspect of where there's a high people caring role already built into them. And then we just basically provide an orientation program to help them become effective in the workplace.
I think corporate chaplains are taking some credit for a new phenomenon in the workplace. Are you ready for this word? Presenteeism. Not absenteeism, presenteeism.
Yes.
That coming alongside is helping people to stay strong,
Yes. Yeah.
to stay the course.
Yeah, a big buzzword, as you said, presenteeism. HR people seem to be using that one a lot these days, getting a lot of mileage out of it. And the essence of it is that people, for the most part, are coming to workplaces present from the neck down. And so their head is just not totally in their game, which causes potential health and safety problems, and also, you know, it decreases productivity and those kind of things for the employer.
Now, you've talked about the training, the equipping of these chaplains. You clearly were called to train for ministry, and I think you were juggling several balls. Tell us about that. Where were you living at the time? Calgary.
Oh, Calgary, going right back to Calgary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, if I go right back, I've got, our whole family has had a whole series of hits and things that we've had to overcome. God put his hand upon me and called me into ministry back in 1989. And I was very much, you know, a very strong sense of calling into pastoral ministry. And then there was a fork in the road for me just about a year and a half ago or so. I was looking at that kind of second half of my life and realizing that, you know, things were just changing for me. That God was realigning my situation, and I had to come up with where am I going to serve God in the last half, and or whatever that time would be that He would have me continue to serve Him. And I got to tell you, I came across something that was life-changing for me. I was really seeking God in terms of direction. And I walked into a convenience store just around the corner from me where I live. And in this convenience store was the employer came up to me and said, I've got a really serious problem. And you know, so I was all ears, and he said to me that his employee he had just sent home because her 14-year-old daughter had committed suicide and had hung herself on a swing set in the backyard. And a very tragic situation, and you know, what do you do? And this man, that's exactly what his words to me was. He said, I don't know what to do. And so he said, would you call her? And he wrote down her phone number on a piece of paper and handed it to me. And you know, I sent up this prayer to God and just said, you know, this is what do you say to somebody who's over you know, experiencing that level of grief and